Hey guys, this is Keith Baker from Dusty Attic Studio, and today we are going to look at the feature in Studio One V3 called Audio Bend or Audio Bending. And let me pull up Studio One here. My buddy Martin Weeks asked about this the other day, so I decided to make a quick little video. So what we got here is a song that a lot of you have probably heard from my buddy Mike McManus. A lot of people have mixed this in the group at the Studio One Sessions group, and I think Johnny Geib did something with it, and of course Khalid Glover and I have been having some live streams using this song as an example. But let me real quick show you what the song is.
What did you think I would do at this moment when you're standing before me with tears in your eyes, trying to tell me you found you another and you just don't love me no more? What did you think I would say at this moment?
Okay, so you can hear that. What I'm going to do here with Audio Bend, at the end of this song, there's a big break where the music stops and the vocals keep going, and then the vocals come back in, and they got to come in exactly at the right time. Not going to say that Mike, the singer in this, he didn't do anything wrong in here. I actually went in and messed up the timing on this purposely just so I could show this video. Let's go back here to the end of the song. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, where the music stops and the vocals continue. There's no click track with this particular song because it was done live, so there was no exact timing to it, so there was no grid. But let's zoom in here where the cursor is. This point here, let me scoot this down. I'll play this part for you.
If I could just hold you again.
Okay, so it's right there that we have the problem. I'm sure it was really easy to hear. Let me zoom this in so you can see the wave files a little bit better. I'll start it here and you can listen to it again. Now you can hear where he finished his phrase there, again. He didn't come in quite when the music did. One more time. So you can hear that he came in a little early. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Audio Bend tool in here to put that into place so it won't actually affect the vocals, but it's going to actually scoot this part right here into where it belongs. So what I'm going to do, take my tool here, I'm going to select the track. I'm going to go to my Audio Bend tool here, right here. You see where it is. You're going to click it. It's going to open up. And what I'm going to do is hit Analyze. So I'm going to analyze this track. It's going to detect transients. Analyze. This is the same tool you would use for quantizing. So let me click that. And you can see now that it's detected. Let me scoot this down just a little bit, and you can see where it's detecting all the transients. As you can see, it did not detect this one here, which is there is our problem spot. So I'm going to take the threshold tool up here. You can watch this area here. Let's see, if I back it off, it disappears. If I bring it in, it shows up. And it's grabbing some of his vibrato. But even all the way as far as the threshold will go at 100%, it's still not grabbing this spot. So you're thinking, wow, that kind of is a bummer. Anyway, that's not exactly true. Let me open this up just a hair. If you have a spot that you need to move, you can go to your bend tool right here. See, it says bend tool. You click on that, and you can actually come here and like select that spot. And even though it didn't detect the transient, you can click and you can create your own marker at that transient. So when you do that, you have that option when you put the mouse over it and you click and hold it, and then you can move that. See how it only affects from the marker here to here. I'm going to go ahead and do a Control Z and put it back where it belongs. In this case, I'm afraid that it may, when I move this down, it may distort this area here. So I'm going to go back up to my threshold, and I'm going to back off the threshold till those two went away. If you look, I have these two markers here. I'm going to pull those out using my threshold. Okay, so they're gone. So I only have this marker here and then the marker that I added. So when I move this, everything from that marker to that marker is going to move relevant. So I know his vocal comes in a little early, so I want to move it down a little bit. Again, this song wasn't to grid, so I'm guessing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here with my pointer, and I'm going to click here and move my cursor, and I'm going to listen to it again. Let's take a listen. As you can hear, it's still too early. So I'm going to come here and grab it again. Just click and hold it, and I'm going to move it down. I'm going to go to right about there, and let's listen to it again. And I came in a little early. So let's move it. Just move it back up to about there. And something else you can do is you can scroll up here and you can see where all the rest of the instruments come in. Like the piano comes in there. They're all really close. Electric guitar. Let's see. In this case, I was using MIDI drums, so I can see that right there. You zoom in. Is where the kick and two crashes come in. So I can really set the cursor to that spot and use that as a marker. So you have this little part here is when he says, ugh, it's that g right there is what you're hearing. But the actual voice, where it actually comes in strong, is right here where this transient, you can see when I close, you see where the fat transient comes in. So I know that spot right there, since I put the marker in there, is where all the cymbals and everything kick in. So I'm going to come up here and move it right around that area. And then I'm going to play it back again. Let's see what happens here. Move it there. Click. That's pretty close. Not quite. So let's take a listen to it again. I don't know, that's pretty close. So let me just bump it a little bit there, just a hair. And that sounds like it's right on time. So let me just bring it up to this point. Let's listen to the whole thing there, so you can get it going through your head of what the tempo would be.
If I could just hold you. Again.
Much better. But something else that I notice is where he's saying again, he holds that real long, which was on purpose, but because we moved this down the grid a notch, let's go ahead and take this and scoot this down just a little too. You can see that this starts to turn green here because red means that it's been stretched. Dark green means that it's been compressed. So let me take that because it seems a little unnatural. And as you're going to notice, it's going to affect this over here too. So we have to listen to that one more time. I'm just going to bring this down here to where that note that he holds is a little more natural. So let me hear this one more time.
If I could just hold you.
Sounds good, right on time. And there you have it. I mean, it's really close. I think it sounds natural. Everything is right in time. And let's play the song out. All right, so you can use that in many different applications. I mean, imagine if this was a bass guitar and the bass guitar came in early or late. You can grab that transient and actually move that spot. It's just awesome that you can take it and you can move it all over the place. I mean, right there, I just moved it a lot. So let me let you hear what that did.
Again.
Yeah, so not only that, when I squished it, it changed his vibrato. So you have to use it sparingly. But little places like that, when there's a few things that are just right out of time that you can just kind of squeeze into place, you know, as long as you do it sparingly, you can get away with it. I exaggerated it there so you could see, but it works on a lot of different applications. I mean, if you quantize drums, let's say if this song was on the grid, which it's not, and you quantize it, live drums, you always have that problem of your overheads. You can go in there and move your overheads to match quantizing your drums too. There's nothing, you get this whole phasey thing if you move a kick drum, for instance, from a tiny little spot over to where it belongs. But, you know, the overhead is still going to pick up that kick drum. So you're going to actually hear it twice, and, you know, it might only be a few milliseconds. But you can go up there and pinpoint that spot in your overheads, and you can actually move that overhead just over. Because remember, if you add one of these markers here, where the transients are, if it didn't detect a transient at that spot, if you add one, just remember it's going to move relevant to what's after it and what's before it. So a kick, for instance, is going to be very noticeable. If you move the kick, if you have a kick mic and it picked that up and you move that transient over, but you're still picking up some of the kick in the overhead, you're going to hear that. But if you go in there and you find that transient for that kick, it's going to be real hard. It's something that's going to come. It's going to come with practice, and as you get more familiar with all this, you'll be able to pick that spot out in the overhead, create a marker like I did here, and you can move that marker for that kick drum in the overhead, and everything around it is going to move relevant. So it can be done. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of patience. That's part of being an audio engineer. If this is what you decided you want to do, unfortunately, you're gonna have to put the time in. You always see these pictures of skeletons hanging over desks and stuff like that, and it says, "Oh, the mix is almost done." Well, that's true. It really is. The more you get into it, and the more patience you have, and you get everything done just right, it's not going to seem that bad. You'll be able to move this stuff around pretty quick because it's going to come natural because you're going to hear it. Your ears are your best friend. Same thing with dynamics, and same thing sonically with EQ. It's all your best friend. Okay, so I am going to do something else here. Let me put this back. I'm going to Control Z and back out of everything I did until it goes back to where it has not been analyzed. So bear with me. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm hitting Control Z and I'm backing up and everything's changing. And then we're back to our regular where we were before. Something else you can do, and you got to understand that this doesn't always work. Audio bending is probably your best bet for the situation that I just showed. But there is one other, let me back out just a little bit. You can take that piece, and I'm sure everybody's done this before. You can cut that piece, and then you can move it to try and get it into place. And that works. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes people will cut like a bass note if the bass player came in early or came in late. No, let's just call this a bass note for now, from the bass guitar, and the bass player came in real early or real late with that. And you can take and move that piece. I mean, that can work, but you can also cut that section, select it, and you can hit on Windows, and I might need some help here from our Mac users, because I do not know the key commands on Mac, but on Windows you can hit Control. I'm hitting Control and Alt on the keyboard, so I'm holding Control and Alt on the keyboard, and then you can see the mouse. It's got a little line with arrows right and left. Watch what I can do here. I can move the wave within the selected section. It's like that. And it's not affecting, let me back out just a little bit here. And it's only affecting the piece that I cut. So let me see where we are here for a second. Got it all the timing's off now. All right, so you heard how bad that was. Again, I'm going to hit, I cut it here, because I do not want to affect what's going on in the rest of the track. I hit Control, and I hit Alt, and then I grab the waveform. And I know it came in early, real early, so I'm just going to move this whole section within the selected wave. I'm just moving the waveform. Now let's listen to it again.
Yeah.
All right, it came in way too early. So let me hit Control and Alt again, and then use my mouse and move it forward. And let's try that. And again, I got it right in time where it's supposed to be. So there's a couple little tips that'll help you out. Audio bending is awesome if you're, especially if you're recording live music and you're capturing the tracks, the multi-tracks from the instruments, like the drum set, for instance, which is my kit. I use 13 microphones on it. You get bass, guitar, and all this. If you're doing it live and there's no click track, nobody's using anything to keep a tempo, and they're just freelancing the show. and you have a couple of spots that just have to be moved into place, you can do it by audio bending. You don't need to use the Quantize. Quantize is awesome. Whenever you have a client in the studio, it really is imperative to make them play to a click track. If they can't, you can always drag in some drum loops for the whole length of the song. Guitar players are notorious, and I'm not picking on guitar players because this happens to me too. Notoriously, we have a hard time playing to a click track. You throw in 4 minutes of drum loops, it keeps a drum beat to a tempo, and I can play in time all day. It's great. It lays the foundation. The bass player comes in. Professionally, I think the best thing to do is to have a drummer lay all his parts down first. He's got to be able to play the song start to finish to a click track. That I can do, oddly enough. I can play to a click track on the drums, but I can't play to a click track as a guitar player. And then come back in and let everybody play their parts afterwards. But if you want to start with guitars, you should give them something to play to keep the song to tempo, to grid, so you have that option to use quantizing. If quantizing doesn't work, you have the opportunity to manipulate individual chunks of wave files through audio bend or audio bending. So anyway, didn't mean to take this as long as it did, so I'm going to head out right now. My name's Keith Baker from Dusty Attic Studio. If you need me, you can always reach me at my website at www.dustyaticstudio.com, or more importantly, you can reach me at either one of the Studio One Facebook groups. That's Presonus Studio One, which we just hit 20,000 members. Very good. Thank you so much. And then, of course, the Studio One Sessions group, where we help people with mixing. The other one is for technical support. Some other people that you might want to get in touch with if you're just starting out in Studio One is people like Johnny Guibe. He's one of my best friends in the group. Me and him do a lot of stuff together. He does live streams all the time. Nick Critchley, I just can't say enough about Nick. Nick is over in England. He is my bestest friend and my right-hand man in the Studio One sessions and the Presonus Studio One group. He is the MIDI guru. If you ever have any problems with MIDI, if he can't figure it out, then it's broken. It's as simple as that. David Vignola with his brand new website of Studio One, Learning to Mix. He also has a bunch of videos that he's put together with home recording made easy. And then we got Johnny Lipshin, who is along in those same lines. He works with both Johnny Guibe and with David Vignola on a lot of different things. He was a songwriter, an engineer. He's awesome. He can also help you with a lot of things if you can't find me or the rest of the guys. Our community is great. Anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for stopping by.